Hey y'all, it's Hope here at Crafty Hope and welcome. It is day 42 of ICAD. Oh my goodness. Alright, so let's get to this. ICAD means index card a day. It comes from Tammy Garcia. She has weekly themes and daily prompts. And my friend Nina Fickett also has some daily prompts as well. Sometimes I use both prompts, sometimes I use neither, sometimes I use one or the other. Really, all ICAD is taking an index card of any size. Mine are 3x5s, but you could use I can't think what the other sizes are. There's 4x7 maybe? And I know there's like a 10x6. I don't remember. There's a bunch of different kinds. But I'm just using some regular 3x5s and starting with some collage on most of these. I've got a couple boxes of scraps. And y'all, any project I do, I end up with more scraps. So I've taken all of those scraps and put them in a couple boxes. And rather than make more scraps by pulling out more papers, I'm trying to use these for ICAD so that in future projects I can make more scraps and not have to worry about all the scraps I already have. So there's that. Today's two prompts today, from Daisy Yellow, it was Ombre, and from Nina, her mixed media ICAD was organic. Now, I tend to almost always use Nina's. I did not today. It's kind of crazy. I thought I might in some way, but no, didn't happen. But the ombre I figured was pretty easy because I was taking it just as that fading from a dark to light color. And so I'll show you how we're going to do that in a second. First, I'm finishing up my collage here using my Uhu glue stick and those scraps. So I'm going to trim off some of the stuff that's hanging off the back. Sometimes when it's odd angles, it bothers me. Sometimes I don't mind it, but today I was like, no, too many odd angles. Gonna trim that stuff. All right, so I've got that done, and I'm gonna pull out my 3x5 gel plate. I will have a link to that below. It is 3x5 and is my card. Sometimes I just don't lay it down quite right, but you'll see how I fix that in a second. So I'm getting this jelly plate out and a couple of distress oxides. I knew when I woke up this morning that this is what I wanted to do, was use some distress oxides on my gel plate. So I grabbed two colors in a purple. One is Seedless Preserves is the darker one, and Shaded Lilac is the lighter one. And that's how I'm going to create my ombre effect, is kind of blending these two colors. So I kind of wish I had done it more horizontally instead of vertically, but it's fine. You see there, I sprayed water and then I've got a paintbrush. It's kind of blending the two in the middle just to make sure it's not just a stark separation between the two. And then I'm sticking my ICAD down. You see I got that ink kind of everywhere. Since it was wet and watered, it squirted out in some places. And you can see how some of the edges there, up there at the top, I guess, didn't have the ink the way I wanted. So I'm trying to figure out to get my positioning right to pick up some more of that ink. All right, and I'm gonna skip the part where I put my jelly plate aside and dried my card. And then because it is distress product, it is water reactive, so I squirted a little water on it. And I'm going to pick that up. It leaves some water droplets. They're kind of hard to see, but I can see them and I love it. But to enhance that effect, I pulled out instead of coffee, I've got my walnut stain distress oxide that I'm putting on a little bit of acetate. If I had left my jelly plate out, I could have used it, but this works just fine. And I'm splattering that all over my card. Yep, I'm going to clean up my acetate real quick and then dry my card. I'll let you see that. I'm using this large print book that I don't like the words that are in it. It's got some very racial slurs and things like that that I don't want in my ICAD. So I decided I'm just going to use it as like a cleanup plate. That's what I've been doing. All right, I wanted some scribbles, used a pencil, and then for some reason I wanted dark marks, but I wanted them kind of bleedy, and I could have used my Stabilo, but I wanted to keep some of the structure to it for some reason. I don't know, y'all. So I used this. It's a rollerball pen from the Dollar Tree. I kind of love it. So I put some circles down and rub my wet paintbrush over them to make them a little bleedy, but still keep those circles. And then added the same kind of effect in a couple places. And then when I sit back and look at it, I decided I really just kind of wanted to do a little bit of doodling. So I grabbed that pen again. I'm going to connect these circles, but not activate these lines I'm using to connect it. And then I decided that each of these sets of circles needed a a friend. So I'm putting I'm putting more circles next to them, and I'll connect those and water activate the circles. Just a fun doodly technique. Once I get that done, I'm going to, I don't know, this is the part that I get a little frustrated with coming up. So I'm going to activate those. I'm getting ahead of myself. I do that. But I decided, this is looking, especially the darker portion of this card is looking really dark. And so I wanted some white on here, but I didn't want it thick and bulky. So I pull out my Uniball Signo gel pen and decide to kind of connect those little pairs by drawing just a line between it. Now, the Distress Oxide is absolutely soaking up that ink, and I'm having to go over these lines, some of them 2 and 3 times, and they still don't show up great. But I knew I wanted these super thin lines. I need to, I think, play around with some of my thin or fine point paint pens to see maybe if I could get that same kind of effect. But this is fine. I knew I wanted white on here. I kind of wish I'd done some white splatters, but I knew that would take away from some of the doodling I had done. So I kept myself away from additional splatters. Y'all, can you believe it? I do love my splatters, but yeah, I didn't do it. So instead, I'm kind of just relying on this little bit of white from my gel pen. And I suppose it works. It gives this weird structure to the card, and I love the doodles I've got here. I really do love them. So with that, I thought about it for a minute and was like, do I want to add more? What do I want to do? And I decided, yeah, I'm gonna go with this and go ahead and find a focal/sentiment. And I pull out first some fabric. I thought maybe that would be kind of a way to bring in kind of an organic feel. So, like I said, I didn't do intentionally the mixed media ICAD prompt, but I felt like fabric and fiber and all of that would be kind of an organic-y feel to this very kind of structured feeling card. So I've got this piece of fabric I decide on here, which is just, I don't even know what it is. It's some kind of fabric that I used as a paint mop-up rag and things like that. And I'm going to tear it down a little bit. And you can see I've pulled out those quote chips over on the side. And for some reason, before even knowing what quote chip I'm going to use, I'm just tearing this down, thinking I'm going to use this bigger portion here. And that's where I'm like, oh, I don't even know what quote chip I'm going to use. So I start going through them. I'm going to skip ahead because you see I went through all of them and found the word seek, which didn't quite work on the bigger piece of fabric. So I'm going to stick it on this smaller strip and decide, yeah, that kind of works great. So as I'm looking at it, I decided, maybe a little more kind of organic-y feel. And I knew I had this little piece of black embroidery floss. I think it's just 3 strands of it. I'm trying to break it down a little bit. Got frustrated. Yeah, decide what am I going to do? So I knew I wanted to frame up the outside, give it a little contrast. So I'm using the Black Soot Distress Oxide there and just going around the outside. And I'm not going to activate it or anything. Just leave it black and then grab my matte gel medium to stick this all down. And I think that's going to be it. I'm going to stick down my fabric first. And y'all, I've got to start using fabric more to clean up stuff because that fat piece of fabric is yummy. Both sides are amazing, and yeah, I got to get better about having just a random piece of fabric in here instead of using paper towels or other things. So I stick that fabric down, sticking down my little piece of embroidery floss, and now my seek word, and that's gonna be it for this one. It's a little odd, but I like that I got some of my doodling in there. That was a lot of fun. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And I hope you'll come back tomorrow and see what I do then. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye.